All right, what's up, guys? We are going to introduce ourselves to our AutoCAD that we'll be playing with, at least right now for this year. You're going to go ahead and I'll show you guys how to get onto Onshape. You should be on this screen and we'll be getting started. In order to start a new part, there's different types of files. There are part files, which is essentially a three-dimensional part that you'd want to make. There are drawing files, which we'll see later. There's assembly files, and then at least in Inventor, there's presentation files. We can make those same things in Onshape as well, although they look a little different here and there. All right, so to get started, to create something new, we go to Create and then Document. That normally in Inventor, that would be Part. We're just going to deal with this, and I'm going to call this ISO1 because this is exactly what we're going to draw right now. And then it should bring you into this main screen. What you'll see here is there's a navigation cube. That's how we move around our part. It shows you different planes right now. Here would be the right plane with our right facing isometric view, our front plane, and our top plane. They're also listed over here, and you could hide them and show them if you want to as well. This is the first part that we're going to be drawing. The basics for beginning to drawing a part is that what you're going to want to do is start by looking to see if the part has more or less one shape that we can kind of draw. Look at the front face, and this is the front face that we're going to want to draw. So we draw this shape, and you don't have to necessarily draw it to dimensions first. You can just sketch it and then dimension after, and that's what the technique I'm going to recommend after. So we're going to start always drawing the front face on the front face. So here's how we start this. We start sketch, create new sketch, and then we have to pick the plane, sketch a plane. We're going to pick the front plane. Now normally in Inventor, it goes right to that plane. In Onshape, what you need to do is actually move to that plane to sketch on it. So we click the presentation cube and click front. So now we're actually sketching on the front plane. Now if I roll my mouse back and forth, the scroll wheel, you'll notice that it zooms in and zooms out. And so we want to zoom out just a little bit. And what we're going to do here is create some shapes. So now we're doing a two-dimensional shape. And what we're going to do is try to draw this L shape, and then we'll dimension it. And we don't have to draw it into the origin here, but we can start with that if we want. Sometimes it's nice to draw that part. So I'm just going to create the shape. I'm clicking to create this L shape more or less. And I'm going to click again and click here, and I'll click again and click here, and sometimes it doesn't create the line for us the best we want. There we go. And then I'll start here. I'm going to go down and I'll start here and we'll go back. Okay, I'm going to hit escape now. And now what I'm actually going to do is what's called dimensioning the part for what I need here. So there's a dimensioning tool. I believe it's there we go. This is the dimensioning tool in Onshape here. And so what we want to do is dimension this line to what we need. So this line should actually be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches. So I make sure that my numlock is on my computer, and that's 5. And now we'll see that it's dimensioned it to 5. If I hold my scroll wheel down, I can move my part back and forth as well. That's key. And now I'm just going to go to the next part and dimension that. And that's 2. And I hit enter. And this is how we should really be drawing parts. Draw the shape and then dimension. That's 3. And then this is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6. And then this is 2 here. But what you might see is that I can't change this. Okay, this is a driven dimension because these are perpendicular, and in Inventor lots of times on other AutoCAD programs. That's why this is not looking like the same dimension. It's kind of in a shadow, is because it's driven. If I've gone 3 and I'm perpendicular, I can only go 2 more if these lines are perpendicular. That's a driven dimension. Okay, now we're going to do that. We have that two-dimensional shape, is we're going to turn it to 3 dimensions. There's a bunch of different ways to create our parts here. There's more than one way to skin the cat. I could have created a giant cube and then cut everything out that I needed, but I like to start with the most common shape in the front face, and then we can either add or subtract parts to it. So we can use some more additive or subtractive modeling. And so when I'm done with the sketch, I hit the green. Okay. And then what we're going to do is go back to our sort of right side isometric view, and we can see our sketch. We can also see our sketch over here. This is the history, basically creating our part, and almost all AutoCAD programs have that. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to do an extrusion, which is up here in Onshape. This turns 2D things into 3D, and there's different types of extrusions that we'll go through. So we're going to extrude. What are we going to extrude? We're going to select this sketch, and then we want to know what direction we're going to go. Since the way that I'm modeling, I'm going to extrude back. You can see that now we're turning this 2D thing into 3D. Now I don't have to drag it, but I'm just showing you what it does. And the depth that we're going to go is, of course, 5, because that's the depth that this is extruded. So I'll hit 5 here and enter, and then I can hit the check mark. And now you can see we've created that part. And now it looks a little better when we click around our puzzle cube. We can see it different views, our navigation cube, right? And so what do we want to do next? What I would want to do next is I could either start on the front face here, and I could extrude back, or I can go on the top because I need to cut this out, and that's a different type of extrusion. We'll see that. So I'm going to start sketching on the top face here. So what I can do is hit sketch, and I actually selected that face, so it already sketched on that face. I selected the face and then I hit sketch. And so I need to move to that view. That would be a top view. So I'll select this here, okay? What I'm gonna wanna do next is I'm gonna wanna create this rectangle. So instead of sometimes just drawing lines, we can actually just create a rectangle using this. We'll do a corner rectangle. I'm going to select that rectangle at the end, and then I'm just going to go out. Now what you can do, and what you'll see, is you can actually dimension it before you actually sketch. So if I hit tab, let's see, once I clicked, I believe, maybe this is not doing it for me right now. Let's just dimension this, that's fine. So this is going to be, if we look here, 1, 2, 3, 4 in, right? So this is just 4. And of course this, if we look carefully, this is 1.5, this is 1.5. So this is actually 2 because it's 1 here and then a half on each. So this is actually a dimension of 2, believe it or not. Now if we look at this, this is not in the right place. So how do we get it to be in the right place? What we can do is constrain and dimension this from that side. And that's exactly 1.5 from the side here. So I'll click the side and we'll go 1.5. Okay, so I haven't done it. Anytime I say click, I'm always, you can assume that that's a left click. If we need a right click, I will say right click for you there. Okay, so now that's actually in the proper place and it's ready to go. We're going to hit the check mark. We're finished with that sketch, and we'll go back to our right side isometric view. There we go, navigating my cube properly. What I'm going to do next is extrude, but what I'm going to do is not a new, I'm going to remove. So this is a negative extrusion, and I'm going to select what I want to extrude. Okay, it's going down, not 1 inch. We can change how it's extruding. We can go down exactly all. I believe there's different ones. You could say to next, yep, up to next, which is what we'd want. Okay, we could also just say through all, and that does it. Okay, either or kind of works. Or you could use the blind and tell yourself what depth you want to go. But I'm going to select up to face. Oops, not that. To next is what I meant. Up to next. And then extrudes. And then I hit check. And we're done. Okay. We almost have the part here that we need. What we need to do is we need to extrude this. We can either sketch on top of this and sketch this rectangle. Or what we can do is sketch on the this right side face right here, or we could sketch on the back side face. Either or works. I'm going to go ahead and sketch right here to kind of see different faces we're sketching on. So I can select this face, and then I can select new sketch. And that's going to put that sketch right on that face now. So we're going to look from the right. This is what we're looking at here. And now we need a rectangle right there, right? So I'm going to draw that rectangle. Make sure I start it at the top. Okay, and then what I'll do, I just hit escape. Okay, and I'm going to dimension it now to what I need. So this needs to be 1, right? Because that's 1 down and 3 over. Now what I haven't done is it doesn't look to be in the right place, and that's because I haven't told it where it needs to sit. It only needs to sit 1 over. I can either make it sit 1 over here or 1 over on the other one. So I clicked, and now I dragged up. That's how we dimension here. That needs to be 1, and now we're set. And now we can go back to our sort of home view here. Okay, and we can extrude this. We're going to extrude or remove, and then we'll select what we want there. And we're going to go up to next and OK. And that is our ISO part. Okay, what I'm going to ask you guys to do is sort of hide the planes when you're done with a part. Okay, and then what you're going to need to do is take a selective screenshot, which is Control-Shift screenshot, and for me it's my snipping tool, and you would snip your part. Okay, and you would go ahead and put this next to the ISO part. I'm going to have the same layout. Instead of putting your sketch here, you're putting this here in a slideshow. All right, and now we are done with part 1.